Now, tell us a bit about this petition that you guys are doing, because I mean, going up against big pharma,
Yeah.
is difficult, because I mean, look at a lot of the research that's done on birth control. Well, I mean, research is expensive. So who's going to fund research on birth control? Well, the pharmaceutical companies that are selling the birth control. And then they come out with the studies and say, hey, look, it's harmless. And you look at a lot of these studies and then you just see who's funding the research. I mean, the research is so biased in the direction of whoever's funding it. And there's studies that have come up showing, here are the studies funded by pharmaceutical companies and those not. And the research bias is just black and white. And so with something like Depo-Provera, I remember reading a women's forum where a woman who had been on it, she typed in there and she wrote, "This hideous poison should never have made it out of the lab." And it took so long for the FDA to finally approve it. I mean, they were testing it on all these developing nations, and those nations were like, wait a minute, how come you're giving us a drug that your country won't even legalize? And then the side effects were coming up. The kids with like webbed fingers and toes and birth defects and heart defects and all this stuff. And it's just poison. And now the FDA, at least they've got the black box warning on the drug, which is the highest level of warning you can put on these things. But the girls don't read the fine print. They're not like, okay, let me read the patient insert packet of the 25,000 microscopic words of medical terms I have no idea what they mean. So tell us, like, what are you doing in terms of social advocacy, especially in terms of something as dangerous as Depo-Provera, and how could we become a part to spread the news about it?
Well, I just want to quickly point out the uselessness of a black box warning on something a patient doesn't see. A patient is not seeing the box warning on the Depo-Provera injection because the doctor or the nurse, in the clinic office is doing that injection. They're not handing you the box with the injection in it. It's the same thing with an IUD, with an implant. You're not getting the packaging that it's in. So that black box warning is not seen by the patient. It might be on, we might have hope of getting a warning on a box of pills that a woman might see. But in terms of, a device or an injection that is administered by a healthcare practitioner, a black box warning does nothing for the patient. They don't see that.
Yeah. And now Lunel was on the market for a couple of years, right? That was a birth control injection, and that thing got pulled. So how do we get the plug pulled on Depo?
Yeah. And Depo, so the black box warning is about the risk of osteoporosis, and saying you cannot be on this drug for more than 2 years. Which, by the way, how is it enforced when you know that most of the Depo-Provera injections are conducted in in countries like in South America and Africa, and so where there is very little healthcare support. This is the big deal, right? So we have about 1.7 million women on Depo in the U.S., 74 million worldwide. Okay, so just to give us a sense of the issue here we have, and so there's a lot of money at stake behind that. The big challenge is, like you said, there's this lack of will of making a change and to really tell the truth about Depo. One of the big risks of Depo is that women who have it's a spread of HIV, really. All right. So if a man is infected with HIV and has a relation with a woman, and the risk of the woman getting HIV and AIDS because is much higher if she's on Depo-Provera than if she wasn't. And that's the big thing, that especially in countries where there is less protection against or more issues, this is a killer. So that is one reason we in the petition, the group that put together the petition, which is, by the way, it's not Natural Womanhood. It's a group of scientists that got together, led by Dr. Bill Williams, who is a former editor of the Lineker Quarterly, a medical journal, who led this group, did an extensive study of all the side effects from studies that were valid and had been produced in the past 10 years, and from this wrote an article that was peer-reviewed, published in the Lineker Quarterly, and send that to the FDA in 2019. And that's called a citizens petition. Nothing happened. So for 2 years we waited, and the FDA didn't answer. There was just a wait answer, basically, and no response. So that is what triggered us to work with Dr. William, and we were a part of this article, by the way. but to say, all right, let's take the next step and put the petition on our website. Let's reach out to people and let's get the general public to sign on our website, on the Natural Womanhood website. And if you go on the homepage, you'll see at the top, it says petition. You click here, and it's very quick. You can easily fill out the form and sign the petition. Because what we want to do next is to have 25,000 signatures of people saying, that's enough. We need to have more information. We need transparency. We need to inform the public about these dangers.
Yeah. Now, do the pharmaceutical industry, do they really care? I mean, because to me, I would imagine the bottom line for them is their shareholders and their profit margins. And if public awareness gets big enough where the shareholders are getting cold feet of like, wait a minute, this is not going to make Pfizer Pharmaceuticals look good in the headlines if more of this public awareness gets out. And so I think a lot of people might feel helpless going against it because like, look, I'm not having osteoporosis because I never took Depo, so I don't have the bones of a 60-year-old woman in my 20-year-old body. I don't need to hire some high-powered attorney to sue a pharmaceutical company. But if we can cause a big enough stink about this, then that can hit these pharmaceutical companies where it stings the most, which is in that bottom line. So I'll put the link to the petition in the show notes here so people can sign off on this stuff. But I'd ask the listeners, don't just sign this, share it on social media. Spread this thing on your tweet it, put it on your Instagram, Snapchat, I don't care, Facebook, put this thing out there because, I mean, long-term, how much we could help women by just getting this poison out of there. All the pharmaceutical companies listen to at the end of the day is how much revenue is coming in. And if we can scare the shareholders enough to be like, hey, the optics of this are pretty bad. Let's pull the plug on this and concoct a new poison to give to the women. I think listeners are not helpless, in this regard. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that little clip, but if you want to see the whole episode where this came from, just click the link here. And in the meantime, we want to invite you to help us share this message, and there's a couple things you can do real quick. Number one, if you like or comment or share this video, YouTube will actually show it to more people. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. We release videos every single day, and you'll be notified as soon as those come out. If you want to help us also to spread this message, you can support us at patreon.com/Jason Evert. That helps us to create these videos and show them to the whole world. God bless.